from his studios in New York. It's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Well, KJ, just, for what these first couple weeks have shown you on the defensive line, obviously there's veterans on that line, there's experience on that line. Just what the takeaways have been looking at the 2 weeks of film.
There's a lot of experience. There's not many plays that you can run on offense that we haven't seen before. There's not many, personnel sets or anything like that we haven't seen before that we're not used to. So I think that goes a long way, and we're used to playing a significant amount of snaps. So that wear and tear and being tough mentally during the game, that goes a long way for our group. And it's shown well in these first two games, even with the hard loss at Maryland. We were still able to pick each other up and move on to get ready for Clemson. So that was big for me, seeing that.
When you go on the road and have a game like that against Maryland, what are the first things that kind of go through your head as you're on your way back home? I mean, obviously, a 43-point loss, there's a lot to look at when you go back to that, just what those initial maybe thoughts were.
Fixing those mistakes. You have a 43-point loss. There's a lot of things that went wrong. Like, as a defense, we hope to get a shutout every week. We work to get that. So it's never a situation where we want to give anybody any sort of points. So from the first touchdown to the last touchdown, we watched every single play to understand where we went wrong, to not let that happen again, no matter who we're playing. So that's the mindset that we had, getting on the bus and getting on the plane, understanding it's time to get better. So when we got in the building the next day, it wasn't about, hey, you did this, you did that. We weren't pointing fingers. We failed as a defense. And that's how we felt. That's our approach to it.
So what did you see from Josh Jackson, and when you went back and looked at that film and what he was doing and what the team in Maryland was doing? Like you said, you want to see those mistakes and correct every single one of them. What were they doing that you weren't catching?
Like I said, the mistakes that we made, he manipulated those. He's a good quarterback. He stood in the pocket. He took a couple of hits. We didn't get to him the way we wanted to, but he did take a couple of hits standing in the pocket. And I don't think he missed anybody that was open, honestly. Like, he did his job. He did it well. He's a good quarterback. He has great talent. So that's what I can say about him. He did his job well.
And you're playing a freshman this week that won a national championship in Trevor Lawrence. What do you see from him on film?
He's a great quarterback. He has a lot of poise. He's shown more mobility this year than he showed last year. He's comfortable getting out of the pocket. He can hurt you getting out of the pocket as well. So I've seen a lot of. He's very comfortable back there. He's obviously taking on a bigger leadership role, which is good for him. But we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a good challenge. Like I said, he's a great talent, and we look forward to stopping him, of course.
Outside of Mitch Hyatt, they bring back most of their offensive line. What do you see from the line on film for Clemson?
They're a talented offensive line. They have some veterans, and it's like the same exact line that we saw last year, except for one person, like you just said. Yeah. So we're welcoming the challenge again, meeting those guys and being physical up front.
To know that you play them so close, I mean, a couple of years ago, the victory happens, and then last season in Death Valley, where almost nobody wins, you were so close in that. I mean, this has become an ACC kind of marquee game. Do you feel that going into it? Do you get a sense of that when you walk into these games?
Oh, most definitely. People have been talking about this Clemson game since the summer, like during summer runs and stuff. And my mindset is we don't have them first. That's my thing. So we have Liberty first, and that's kind of been my mindset going into it. Not to get focused on Clemson, but that's the next man up. That's who we have to beat next. So I try not to get caught up in the whole, it's the ACC hype, but I love it. At the same time, it's kind of hard not to fall into it, all of the hype into it. So, like I said, they're a great opponent. I love if I can play the number one team in the nation every week, I would. Like, I would rather have them than, anywhere else. I love the competition.
How do you control the emotions knowing that, like you said, you feel that going into the game? How do you control that when you know that the whole world's looking at Clemson every single week?
Just be poised, man, and understand that this opportunity doesn't come to many people. So you have to understand and use that to kind of fuel your fire and be as good as you can be in that moment. It's all about the moment for me. It's not about just who we're playing. It's about understanding that you only get this one time. Like, we don't play Clemson twice. It's not like basketball where we're going to have another shot to do it. So you have to make the most of this one chance that you get to take them out, or to, at least have a great opportunity to move on and play them better than we play Maryland. So that's the way I look at it.